Then, handing them his royal signet, he said,
And when Alexander saw the breadth of his domain, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. Benefits of a classical education.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another Raid Shadow Legends beginner video. Today we're going to talk all about skill books. Try and get you to avoid making any major mistakes with them, some tips and tricks. So let's just jump straight into it. So the first number one rule with books is don't feed books to the wrong level champion. So if you've got a rare like Marked, only feed her rare books. Don't ever feed her epic books. If you've got yourself an epic like Ugo, only feed her epic books. Obviously this is a fresh account that I started a couple of weeks ago. I have no legendary or mythical books, but don't put legendary books into an epic champion. So rule number one, books for the appropriate level champion. Rule number two, don't feed any skill books to uncommon champions. You just want to simply get extra copies of them and feed them to themselves as skill books. So if we had an extra shield guard, he would appear up here with these books. We'd be able to use him to reduce the cooldown on this A2 here to 2 turns. Now, this tip also applies for any of the champions who are farmable from the campaign. So for example, Conqueror, maybe you're going to build him out to do some spirit keep stuff. Maybe you're interested in the block revive he offers, but you don't want to use any skill books on this guy because you just simply have to go and grind the campaign. Look, it does take time. It's about 1 in every 100 runs will drop you a champion, so it does take time. It is annoying, but it is a much better use of your resources than booking champions out, because champions do take a lot of books. So rule 2, no uncommon booking. And rule kind of 2B, I suppose, is any champion you can get from the campaign, go farm them rather than use the skill books. I mean, don't get me wrong, later in the game if you've got hundreds of rare skill books, by all means do it, don't waste your time. But early game, skill books are hard to get and they're very, very precious. So tip number 3, when you do have a champion that you want to book, so I guess tip 3A is don't book crap champions. Make sure that your champion you're booking has got some really good utility to your account, like a Kale with a big version of poison, lots of damage on clan boss. Marked, I'm going to use in clan boss because she does block debuffs and increased defense. Really good for us, so we want to get this skill booked down, so she's somebody we'd invest in. But there might well be somebody else we've pulled. Let's just grab a random person. Dilgol. I don't think I'm going to use this guy much at the moment, so putting books into him is going to be a bit of a waste. He's not going to appear on my teams. Like good champion, triple hit on his A4, increased 40% chance of placing the big version of decreased defense is nice. Double hit AoE A2 with decreased accuracy. Can come down to 3-turn cooldown. Yeah, it's nice. Decreased speed on his A1. Yes, it's nice, but I don't really see myself using him at the moment. I'd rather invest in Ugo, Deacon, Shiramani, Kale, Burngiri, Marked. I've got some other champions, so don't put skill books into champions you're not going to use. So, when you do get a champion that we're going to use, like Marked, look at a kit. Do we want this A1 booking? So what does it do? 30% chance of placing 30% decreased defense. Well, you want the big version of decreased defense for clan boss. So I know that I've got an Ugo who does that skill. Big version of decreased defense. I know I've got Deacon Armstrong who does the big version of decreased defense. Okay. What about faction wars? She's a barbarian. We know in the index and from the campaign that we can get the big version of decreased defense from War Maiden. So she is completely farmable. AoE, decreased defense. Now, the advantage of Marked is she's a different affinity, but it's a small version, so I'm not really that bothered about this A1 getting booked. Like, it's not a bad thing. I'm not going to be completely pissed off if it gets booked, but I don't need it. It's not like what I'm targeting. Okay, let's look at the A2. It's an AoE. So from a damage perspective, if you're talking about waves, it would be better if it was on a 3-turn cooldown. It would be better if it had more damage. But as I'm primarily going to use her in clan boss, I don't really want this 25% decreased accuracy because it takes up a debuff slot.
What the hell did you just say?
Because it takes up a debuff slot. Debuff slot. Takes up a debuff slot. Slot. You can only have 10 debuffs on the clan boss. Decreased accuracy doesn't do much for you. You'd be better off with decreased attack. You'd be much better off with poison sensitivity, big version of poison, HP burn, weaken, something like that. So we don't really want this landing. So therefore, the interest to me of books in here, again, is not necessarily bad. There will be some uses, whether it's in dungeon waves, faction wars, for decreased accuracy and a 3-turn cooldown. But again, it's not what I'm targeting. This move, however, the A3 is completely different. Block debuffs, we want that available every 3rd turn so we can block the clan boss's stun. And we of course want increased defense for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, because if we can extend this, if we get an extender, then that is increased defense for the entire fight for clan boss, provided Marked doesn't get stunned and get blocked from putting this move on. 60% increased defense is going to make our champions a lot tankier. They're going to last longer in the fight. That means far more poisons for Kale. It means far more War Master procs on his masteries, which is just going to help us pump out a lot more damage. So we want that booking. Now we've made that decision, we're going to use the books. So we're going to upgrade them. I'm going to do them first off, we're going to do 3 into her because we can get all 3 into the A3. And then if let's say we get 1 into the A3, then we'll do 2. And if we get 2 into the A3, well, then we'll just do them 1 at a time. Now, before I do this, we'll go on to the final tip about booking, which is double dipping. Double dipping in this game is where you do something that you need to do, and it actually gives you some other kind of bonus. Now, there are only really 2 instances where you can double dip with books. The main one is clan versus clan. So we get, I think, 1,000 points every time you use a rare skill book. So it makes sense to, whether you're trying to press on for your personal rewards as high as you can to get points for that. Obviously it's helpful for your clan to actually get some points, and that would help. The only other time is going to be if there is a champion training tournament. You do get points for using books. I'd say that's a lot less of a value. I would be using books in a CVC. So similarly, if we look at Ugo, we want this AoE team revive on a 4-turn cooldown. I want that for dungeon progression. I also want her increased defense and block buffs on a much higher chance for clan boss and for Hydra. The A1 I'm not bothered about doing more damage. Again, I'm not going to cry about it, but I don't really need it. So Ugo, let's say we get the A2 and A3 fully booked out, we would stop. So let's just do a quick example. We'll go through and we'll do marks. So we'll start off with the 3 books. We're hoping they all go into this A3 here. It's 500 points, not 1,000. I think it's 1,000 for an epic book. So we got unlucky. All 3 books went into the A2. So we will try again. We've got 2 into the A3 this time. Unfortunately, we've ended up with the A2 on the reduced cooldown, which we did not want. But we've got no books in the A1. So now it's 50-50. Is it going to go in the A1 or the A3? It's gone in the A1. So we try again. It's gone in the A1 again. Okay, that's rubbish. We'll try again for the A3. Now it's gone in the A1. This is just how this game is, guys. RNG. Is that in the A1 again? Yep. Wonderful. And there we go. We've got the A3. So we could have got really lucky there, and it could have been 3 books to get her where we want. We ended up using 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books. So we started the video with 19 books. We've now got 8. There are going to be many rare champions you want to build out in the game, so you can see how quickly the skill books get used up. So let's do Ugo. We've got 6 books. It's probably going to be all 6 because we've got more than 6. So let's just stick them all into Ugo and see where we end up. And 3 of them went in the A1, of course. Not luck for the video. But let's say the rest of them, we get lucky and they start coming in here, in this A3, which is what I really, really want. Well, we'll stop booking. We won't book out the full A1. But that looks quite unlikely now because we'd have to get 3 in our A2, and then we'd have to get the full 6 in array 3. So bad luck, but that is how it goes. So they are the booking tips. Don't use the wrong level skill book on the wrong champion. Don't book out uncommons. Don't book champions you can get from the campaign. Be tactical with how you use your books in terms of the particular champion's skill kit. And then finally, try and use your books on CVC, because that has now given us a whole big bunch of points, which is nice. That's been the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I've been the Filthy Casual. Take it easy. Peace.